Agent Romanoff. You miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spider-Man. Hey everyone.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Film Artsy. I'm your guy Troy Baker. I'm on location today, but that will not stop us from talking about a really cool theory. Well, not even a theory, just something we hope to see on screen. And let me tell you, it was one of my biggest wish list items amongst the many wish list items I have for Marvel. And that's seeing my boy Tom Holland Spider-Man taking on the iconic Tom Hardy Venom. This would be so cool to see on the big screen, and I don't think it's too far reach. So let's talk about all the possibilities, the powers involved, the situation that would need to take place for this battle to occur, and who would come out on top. Let's get started. First things first, Tom Hardy and Tom Holland are amazing actors, and it is so crazy that we not only got one but two new iterations of characters that have been done before on the big screen, and they were super well received. Sony basically gave us a present with a bow on top saying, here's Spider-Man for the MCU universe, and he was quickly accepted the minute he stepped on camera on Captain America Civil War. It was so good. He took Captain America's shield. He's like, hey, what's up, Iron Man? And we fell in love. We've been in love ever since. Now his movie is the most anticipated movie of the upcoming year with Spider-Man No Way Home. And we loved Far From Home, and we loved Homecoming, and Tom Holland, just the way he acts and portrays Spider-Man feels like Peter Parker, a real Peter Parker that we haven't gotten in quite some time, and we want to only get more. He seems like he'd be critical for the next phase, and so yeah, Tom Holland kills it. And now we got Tom Hardy, and or at least I didn't necessarily expect him to be Venom. I'm not necessarily upset about that, but he kills in other roles, and I just never picked him as being Eddie Brock. But we didn't know that Tom Hardy was the guy we needed to make Venom actually work on the cinematic universe. Now we know we've got some growing pains, okay? Listen, there's some painful skeletons in the closet, and one of those skeletons is definitely Spider-Man 3's Venom. Yeah, we all remember how that went. Not well received, not well remembered. This skinny, kind of wimpy, not very memorable Venom squeezed into a movie with way too many villains. It left a nasty taste in our mouth, because I remember when the promotions were coming out, everyone was like, Venom's in this movie, Venom! But he sucked. So bad. It was not good. And it was a long time. So then somebody announces, hey, we're going to try Venom again. We're like, I don't know if that's a good... Do you think you should do that? But they did, and honestly, the movie wasn't even that great. I'm not a big Venom lover movie, but I love the way they made Venom, and Tom Hardy really brings that character to life. And even the Venom 2 trailer is already setting up my expectations pretty high, because I love that dynamic between the symbiote and Tom Hardy, which you didn't really even get in Spider-Man 3. So I'm like so in for the new Venom movies, and I'm even more in for the fact that one of these two people met on screen, and not only did they meet on screen, but they got into an epic duel. Because really, tales as old as time here when it comes to comics. Spider-Man has a few iconic villains, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Venom is right up there. And Venom's a complicated villain. He's a brutal villain, and to see them clash on the screen like legitimately would be amazing. Why wouldn't you want that? Who would want that? At the same time, you got to think about the situation. How would this even happen? Well, first off, the multiverse it's definitely happening to some extent. Loki, WandaVision, plenty of things are telling us that there's definitely going to be a multiverse, and we even got the glitching Spider-Man No Way Home logo out there, so people are like, okay, this seems to be happening. So it's not too hard to believe that Tom Holland could eventually cross over Sony, and vice versa, Venom could cross over the MCU. Now, I will say, in my opinion, if I had to take a guess, this would be more likely to happen with Tom Holland crossing over to the Sony universe, because we never have established necessarily that Venom's not in this universe. And I think that's critical to know, because I don't think Sony's plan in the future, now maybe I'm wrong, is for them to lean heavily into the multiverse. And more to let their properties be used in MCU's multiverse, because you don't want multiverse versus multiverse. Now, maybe they want to closely align with MCU, but I just don't see that happening. So, the way that this would have to play out is I don't see Venom becoming the big bad villain. He's not that way. He's not made that way in the Sony film, so it'd be very odd for him to also come this brutal, evil Venom, which we know and have seen in the comics, but that's just not what's happening in the movies, and what's working is the anti-hero Venom. That being said, I think a misunderstanding is the way that this takes place between Tom Holland, Spider-Man, and Venom. Now, what the sad part about this is this doesn't necessarily lead to like a battle to the death situation, But this misconception could say, hey, Spider-Man thinks Venom's bad. Venom thinks Spider-Man's either bad or not doing his job, and they square off. The other way I can see this happening is potentially another version of Venom with still Tom Hardy reprising that role. So with the multiverse, you can have variations of Venom exist, right? So it's not too far-fetched to think that there's a more brutal, vicious Venom out there that could take on Tom Holland and really give him a run for his money. Either way, I just want an excuse to see them go, pow!
Before we continue our video, I just want to let you guys know that we have a really cool Instagram that updates on a regular basis. So if you like all things Marvel, this is the Instagram for you. So go follow that filmartsy Instagram right now. You won't regret it, I promise you. Seriously, open Instagram right now and click that follow button. Now back to the video. Now, like any good stat analyst or analyst, we're going to analyze superheroes here. You got to compare the stats. And in this situation, you got to compare the powers because they do matter. And Spidey's powers, let's just run through them real quick. Our Tom Holland Spider-Man is super agile. He's. I mean, have you seen the flips he does? He does? Have you seen the flips he does and the way he climbs? But he's an agile creature, and on top of that, he has super strength and like super jump, so he's able to lift cars. I mean, his abilities right there, just being agile and superhuman strength, puts him on par with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, even Iron Man's suit. So he's a pretty formidable hero. He's maybe not like Wanda strong, but he's definitely not someone that's going to be easy to take down. On top of that, he also has Spidey sense. And he's got his web shooters. Now, in this version, he made the web shooters, but the webs are still like basically steel, although I see them get ripped all the time, but I'll let that go. There's super strong web, and there's other versions of Spider-Man where, well, indeed, its webs comes out of them, and we saw with Tobey Maguire. That's kind of the list of Spider-Man's powers. I was thinking this through, like, he does other things, but for the most part, this is kind of what he does. Crawls, walls, jumps, super strength, agile, can swing from webs, and then you look at Venom's powers, you're like, oh, the scales just kind of tip in Venom's favor. I tell you what. Well, because you think about Venom, he has every single one of Spider-Man's powers, and not only that, all of those powers are enhanced like tenfold. We know this from Spider-Man 3 in the comics. When Spider-Man gets the symbiote, when he gets the Venom symbiote, his powers are enhanced. And it's super, he feels strong and powerful and more agile, more quick, everything just enhanced. Yeah, it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost that he is impacted with his, like, I want to say chakra, but he's impacted with the way he gets frustrated and angry and ultimately decides that it's too risky for him to be compromised emotionally. So Venom has this super speed and strength, the agility, the web shooting, and on top of that, he's got like the symbiote that can basically do anything. It could stretch like to grab building sides and become an axe, or get to really big arms, or become spikes. So it's a pretty versatile thing. And in the comics, there's plenty more things that Venom could do, and we haven't necessarily seen them on screen. The other component about Venom, although it's not necessarily superpower, is his brutal primalness, right? Spider-Man is cunning and smart, but Venom is brutal, primal, and he will tear you apart. He likes eating heads, for Pete's sake. He wants to eat your head. Well, maybe not your head. Hopefully not your head. But he likes to eat heads. So that's a thing. So when it comes to Clash, if we had to put these two on paper, it seems like Venom definitely has the upper hand, and I think it's always been communicated that way in the comics. Yet, if you look at the total of like battles between them, Venom doesn't really come often on top. So even in a cinematic release, I would think, okay, that might not be the case, because Venom is not the brightest crayon in the box. He's not dumb. He's definitely not dumb. He's a cunning villain to some extent. But Spider-Man, one of his greatest strengths is his wit and his cunning. And he often tricks Venom or beats Venom and bests Venom with his mind. So in a situation we see this on the big film, Tom Hardy doesn't seem dumb, but the symbiote does seem a little rough around the edges. Not exactly the brightest crayon in the box, like I said. So I can see Tom Holland eventually besting, or at least debilitate him, so their conversation could come forth where they could communicate and say, hey, we're actually both on the same team, so stop hitting me. But what would this battle look like? Well, what I love is you would have webs everywhere. It would just be cool to see the spider powers in full array. Two super ability humans like Venom, who has the Spidey sense, and Spider-Man's Vice sense, dodging cars and whatever lamp posts or whatever else they could throw. And then the symbiote shooting from here and there. It would really be quite the square off. And although I don't know if they're going to have this in the upcoming Venom movies, and maybe this wasn't Venom 1, but like sound is also a
weakness of Venom, so that could be utilized as well. Ultimately, this would be super cool to see on the big screen, and I don't think it's that far off because we have Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe probably showing up as Spider-Man No Way Home. Definitely the first two, and maybe Willem Dafoe. I don't think it's too far to believe that Venom could cross over as well. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see Venom and Spider-Man, aka Tom Holland and Tom Hardy, square off, let me know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and tell me what you think would be awesome to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or in the Sony universe. As always, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It really helps us, and we're trying to give you guys this content on the daily for you guys to enjoy. And as always, until next time, thanks for watching.